Hi, welcome back to Forgotten Legends of Sound. We're just continuing the metal collection, so welcome if you're new here. Normally our channel is doing reviews, but here we wanted to just show off some of the CDs and stuff that we like. And so, anything that you guys want to add, or should we just jump right into it?
No, let's just jump into it. Today we're doing the D's. So
yeah. So the first album we got is Dolly's Dilemma, and this is a progressive metal band. Kevin got into this band in high school.
Yeah.
It's funny because in high school I didn't like them. I was kind of just like meh, and then like a year or so ago, you and I went through it together or whatever, and I was like, man, this is actually some really good prog metal stuff. I think one problem for me is in high school I was so oversaturated with power metal, prog metal that if it didn't completely blow me away, I was just so. Yeah, I was so tired of that sound. I wanted different things. So, anyways, great album from kind of obscure band.
These guys, they only had this one album, but it's pretty good. So,
yeah. And then we got Dark Lunacy with Devoid. This is their first album. They're kind of like melodic death metal with a lot of like Russian stories. They're from Italy. I don't know if like the main singer composer guy. I don't know if he's like from Russia. I have no idea what the connection
really
is.
The lore or...
Oh, sorry?
Is it like Russian lore? Or...
I'm not really sure. I just know that they have a lot of Russian like melodies and stuff, and then like a Russian story. Yeah, and then like they got Russian like stories and stuff. Like they'll tell a story and be like, oh, this is in like some Russian city and stuff like that. So kind of interesting.
I took out of yours. Sorry.
And this is Dark Lunacy with Forget Me Not. So this is their second album. All right, Kevin.
Sorry, I got confused. I'm like drinking everybody's water.
Drinking your water. And this is the first album I ever listened to by them. This is The Diarist. This is probably their best album. Really cool melodic death metal stuff if you like that kind of stuff. Then we got Dark Lunacy with Weaver of Forgotten. Haven't heard that one. I know people don't really like it, and I guess they changed up a lot of the band members also like for this album. So I'm not really sure. Maybe it's one of those albums where I'm like, really, guys? Why do you? I don't really know how good it is. Next up, we've got one of my favorite bands, at least in my top 5. This is Dark Tranquillity with Skydancer, and man, I got into these guys in high school, and there was something about their sound that was just so awesome, and I love their lyrics and stuff too. Like Dark Tranquillity for me is this is like the original Skydancer one, so it looks cool. Dark Tranquillity for me is like lyrically, it's my favorite melodic death metal band.
Yeah, there's some brutal lyrics.
Yeah, their lyrics you could really dig deep into them. There's a lot of meaning to them. Their last couple albums, I don't really care about their lyrics, but pre 2010 or so, like their lyrics and everything about them, their melodies, their riffs, the keyboards, just an awesome band. And this is the Of Chaos and Eternal Night EP. This is also the original looking one too. All this stuff was on like Spine Farm Records, so kind of cool. I like that kind of like, I don't know if that's like crimson or brown or I don't know. Looks pretty cool. Maroon, yeah, that's what that color is. We're guys, we don't usually know what colors are other than red, brown, blue, And here's the gallery. This album's a freaking masterpiece. Just an amazing melodic death metal album, and I kind of want to just show this artwork on the CD because out of every single CD that we own, this is my favorite looking CD. I love this artwork. I just think that looks so cool. The blue and the red, like it's just, man, that's so cool looking. I could just stare at that all day. So really, really awesome album. The artwork looks really cool. And our friend Jake got us that when he was in Japan. And I was like, dude, so sick. And, so really grateful to you, Jake, man. You're an awesome dude, And then we got Dark Tranquillity. This is the Enter Suicidal Angels EP. So kind of cool. This was released just before their third album. And it's pretty cool. It's got like a techno-y kind of song in the last track or whatever. So it's, they're already kind of they're like already wanting to experiment a little bit more at this time. Excuse me. And then we've got The Mind's Eye. So this is Dark Tranquillity's third record. Really cool.
Those
cool
90s
album.
ones do look good though.
Yeah, they look really cool. Just a fantastic. They're one of those bands where I feel like they don't have a weak album. I pretty much love all their stuff. And then we've got Dark Tranquillity with Projector. And this is where they, changed as a band. They slowed down, added a lot more Gothic-y kind of elements. And the 3 albums prior, they were all like super fast, super intense and everything. And this is when they got more moody. And that's a brilliant album also. This is like a masterpiece as well. And this is the Projector reissue that has like the bonus tracks. I think No One and Exposure, I think they were Japanese bonus tracks first or something. And then, anyways, just so they could see kind of more of the artwork and stuff. And then whenever they got like remastered, reissued it, I think it was 2009, they added all those bonus tracks on there. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Right. And this is another masterpiece. I love this album. This album was the longest slow burning album in history. Like, it took me like, I don't know, like over 15 years to be like, man, I love this album. Yeah, like I always liked it, but I never like loved it until like the last like 5 years or so. And now I think it's brilliant. I love Haven because it used to be one of those albums where I always loved the first 6 tracks, and then the last like 4 or so were always just like a little bit harder to get through for me, And now I think those are awesome. And then we've got Dark Tranquillity with the reissue for Haven, and Cornered is a bonus track. Cornered is one of the best like bonus songs for them. I love that song. I think it's so beautiful. And then we got we got Dark Tranquillity with Damage Done. This was my first exposure to them, so it's gonna be probably my favorite, probably partly because of that. Right. And I think the lyrics to this album and the melodies and everything about it, it's just a freaking masterpiece. So anyways, one of my favorite albums. And this is Damage Done, the reissue as well. So kind of cool. And before they reissued those, I remember buying this. This was the Exposures in Retrospect and Denial. And the first disc is like, half of it is like their Moonclad Reflection demo and another demo that they had. I can't remember the name right now. Along with the bonus tracks that were on those reissues. Right. And then the second disc was like a live thing. So kind of cool. This is more for collectors, really. This is the Lost to Apathy EP. Kind of cool. And this is Character. Man, when this album came out, I was just like, I was so excited because sometimes whenever you're like into a band and then it blows you away, you're like so excited to see what they're going to do next. And that was the case for this one. And I love that album too. It's a masterpiece. And then we got Dark Tranquillity with the Focus Shift single. So this is kind of cool. It's definitely more of a collector thing, because both of these tracks are on Fiction anyways. Sorry, let me bring this stack over. And then we've got DT with Fiction. Really good album. That one had to grow on me a little bit too. I know that album is usually people's first exposure to the band, so a lot of people really love that album. And I could kind of see why, but I still think it's a fantastic album, but I don't think it's...
This was the album where it first seemed like, wait, are these guys becoming more like mainstream? Or are they becoming more like trendy?
I think it made them a little more like every album would make them more and more successful. And I feel like that one seemed at the time, it seemed like a breakthrough album, or at least that's what it seemed like to us in 2007. Right. This is the expanded edition for Fiction. This has like 4 bonus tracks and it's kind of cool. So this is actually a little bit harder to find for some reason. I don't know if there's just not that many copies or something. I'm not sure. And then we got Dark Tranquillity with We Are the Void. This one's pretty underrated. A lot of people don't seem to like it, but I think it's really awesome. What's funny is when it came out, I was like, whatever. I didn't think much of it. And I only heard like a few songs. And I was like, whatever. Maybe DT's like dying or whatever. And then it was like a couple years after that album had come out that I went back and checked it out. And I was like, dude, this album's actually really freaking good, So it was kind of like, it reminded me at that time, like, yeah, DT has some cool stuff that they're doing these days. And this is Construct, their 2013 album. That one had to grow on me also. I think a lot of times when you have like such a high regard for a band, a lot of times your expectations are so high. And I think that's the reason why.
And if they don't meet them, then you're kind of like,
Yeah, you're like, I don't know about this. And I was just I think that's kind of been the case for a lot of DT's newer albums for me. Right. Because I just had such a high standard. And then I learned to like enjoy those albums a little bit more. And this is Dark Tranquillity with Atoma. This is the Japanese version, so kind of cool. It's got a little bonus track. And then here's the U.S. version, Dark Tranquillity's Atoma.
And we saw them live during their like Atoma kind of tour, right?
Yeah.
It was like
when they were touring with Sonata Arctica.
Yeah, we saw them in Maryland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was in 2017 when we saw them, I think?
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah, something like that.
That was cool. I remember they played like a good bit of Damage Done songs, so I was like happy about that. This is their newest album. This is Moment. Great album. Probably my least favorite from them, but it's still worthy. Like, it's still a great album. And then onward to Darkane. This band is pretty underrated. I feel like nobody talks about them. Nobody like discusses them, and they got some cool art. I mean, come on, you got a little ghost and little chains and stuff. It's like, oh snap. So this is Rusted Angel, their first album, and that one's like the original version on War Records. Was it War Records? I think. War Music.
War something.
War something. So kind of cool. And this is the reissue. I think it's like 2005 or something, 2008. Anyways, this is the reissue of Rusted Angel, so it's got like a few bonus stuff.
Is the CD does it have like
it looks the same?
It's the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the art and stuff looks the same.
There was like a CD. I thought it was with Arch Enemy, where it's like the CD's different, but I can't remember what CD that was. I thought maybe I was thinking of Darkane, but I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Don't remember.
Yeah, and then we got some Darkane with Insanity.
Maybe
I remember.
Sorry, maybe it's Steel Bath Suicide. Maybe I'm thinking of that.
Yeah, that one has different cover art.
There's different. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
of.
from Soulwork. Yeah, that one definitely has different cover art.
So it was like, for the longest time saw the one cover, and then it was like, cool, we gotta get the other like cover. So
yeah, I got the original listenable records version instead of the Century Media reissue. Yeah.
So, anyway, sorry, side note.
Insanity, that's a great album. I remember it took like 2 or 3 months to come in because I remember ordering it from the people there and it was on back order. Mm-hmm. And then it finally came in and I was like, thank goodness,
Right, yeah.
And this is Darkane Expanding Senses, probably my favorite melodic death metal album. It's just so fudging amazing. It looks kind of cool. And we did a little video for this. This is our first video for the channel. Mm-hmm. And one of the this one is the Japanese version, so it's got like a bonus track. So kind of cool.
Check it out if you like Darkane.
Yeah. Anything you want to say about some of these, or no? You're good.
Just a great album. Yeah.
You're like I'll just be saying the same stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that you're able to.
But as far as like being underrated, yeah, dude, because I didn't listen to a ton of melodic death metal, but I'd never heard of these guys till like you guys pretty much showed them to me, and I was just like, man, these guys are freaking sick.
Yeah, true. Here's Layers of Lies, the Japanese version. This one is really good as well. I remember when this album came out, and I was just like blown away. And that video for Secondary Effects, I was just like, dang, this is sick, and and that art is cool.
Yeah, I remember like drawing this.
Yeah. Yeah, just another amazing record from Darkane. Yeah, and it's too bad because Andrea Sidal was like my favorite like metal vocalist, death metal vocalist, and I think he probably still is, but he was only on those 3 albums, so it's kind of like their later stuff and their first album I still enjoy, but man, I loved Andrea Sidal as a vocalist. Here's Layers of Live. This is a live like DVD and CD that Kevin bought, so kind of cool,
Yeah.
Oh, dang, there's a lot on there.
Yeah, and then we got Darkane with Demonic Art. And I remember being disappointed in that one whenever it first came out. But then over the years, I learned to enjoy it a lot. Like, I think that's a great album now. And then we got Darkane with The Sinister Supremacy. Pretty cool. Representing Darkane. And then we got Darkane with Inhuman Spirits. This is their new album that came out last year. And this is the Japanese one, so it's got like the bonus track, Devouring the Oneness of All. So kind of cool, Let me grab another stack. Yeah, Darkane is pretty dope. And then we got Darkseed. This is Diving into Darkness. I was like, Falling into Darkness, something like that. I've heard this a little bit. This is more Gothic metal kind of stuff. So kind of cool. And then we got Dark Throne, Ablaze in the Northern Sky.
Some dark stuff. So.
Yeah, it dark, yo.
There's like 50 bands starting with dark.
Dark this, dark that.
Especially for metal.
They're like, yo, we're metal. We got to be dark something.
Yeah.
And I think these are really early presses too. So I think that they're a little bit harder to find or a little bit more expensive, so kind of cool. And plus that dude's doing his panda expression, man.
Sad panda.
Little panda.
Actually, that's more of an angry panda.
And then here's Dark Throne Under a Funeral Moon. Kind of cool. And what's funny too is like, dude, those albums coming out in 91, 92, 93, like, if you were not accustomed to metal, that stuff would freak you out. And, or if you're young or something listening to this stuff,
you'd be like, whoa.
You see a picture like this and you're kind of like, holy crap, what is going on? This is some crazy stuff. And it's just kind of like, now you look at this picture and you're like, oh, he stepped on a Lego. You know what I mean? Just because it's just, I don't know.
There's like nothing shocking. Like
we're desensitized guys.
Yeah. Well, when you get like when you're first exposed to metal, a lot of times, especially extreme metal, it could be a little bit shocking. But then the more you listen to extreme metal, it becomes like oh, you're like used to it all. Yeah.
You've got like the back. It's all like true Norwegian
like
black metal. Where it's like, all right, dude.
Sorry, that was Transylvanian Hunger. This is Panzerfaust. So kind of cool, Here you go. And then we've got this band. They're kind of industrial rock, but they got a little bit of like metalcore. The internet calls them sasscore. I don't know what that means. I just know it's like some weird version of like grindcore or something. But this is their first album for Daughters Canada songs. This is only like 12 minutes long or something like that. But it's actually kind of enjoyable. I like what the guitars are doing and stuff. It's definitely, he's like shrieking the whole time, and the guitars are all doing these weird noises and stuff. So even though I'm not huge into grindcore and stuff, I like that album. I think it's cool. And then we got Hell Songs from Daughters as well. Kind of cool. I don't think these CDs are super hard to find. Ever since Daughters came out with their fourth album, You Won't Get What You Want, that album like blew them up, and then now everybody like knows who Daughters is and stuff, And that was my first exposure too. Like I wasn't like a diehard Daughters fan, That was how I heard of them, and then I checked them out, and I was like, oh, cool.
Ian's like, now everyone knows Daughters, and me and Chad are both like, Daughters.
I like grindcore, and I haven't heard of these guys.
So some of these bands are like bands that Ian likes, and then some of them I just haven't listened to them. So there's some that like are a little bit more like Chad's bands, or a little bit more my bands. Yeah. But then there's a lot
some that are more mine.
Ian's.
Yeah. That's Daughters' self-titled album, came out in 2010, and then they had an 8-year gap when this one came out. So here's You Won't Get What You Want.
Okay. Yeah. I've seen that
cover.
Okay,
yeah. Kind of cool. And that's the one where the guy's just like, don't tell me how to do my job. Right. That whole song. Like I remember playing that a lot around you guys. Right. Anyways, kind of a cool song, kind of a cool album. And then we got Dawn, their first album. This is like kind of like melodic black metal. Man, how do you pronounce this one? This is Nair Solen Gar Near for Evogar. Yeah. One of those, Swedish or I don't know, like whatever. But this is like the original OG one. So this is actually really hard to find. So kind of cool, for those that are like the collector people, like that's kind of cool to be able to see that and stuff. And then here's their EP that came out, I think a year or two after that one. Sword Pov Svarte Vingar Flog. And this is like the original OG one too. I know these albums have been reissued like in the past couple years or something like that. But the original ones are still like really like, you could see them on Discogs and they'll be like super expensive. And here's Slaughter Sun, Crown of the Triarchy. And this one is OG as well. So I just thought you guys would want to see that. Anyways, kind of cool, kind of a cool band. Man, I was thinking like the drummer for this belonged to another band or something, but I couldn't remember the relation. Oh, wasn't he the guy that was in Falconer? Didn't we talk about that in the Falconer video? I think he was like the drummer for Falconer or something. Anyways, kind of a cool,
I think you might. Well, I think you might be right.
Yeah, I think
I'll have to do
some digging.
Yeah, so not this guy. But I don't know if like another band.
Yeah, I don't know. I could just be like remembering wrong. Here's Dead Soul Tribe. This is kind of a cool like prog metal, alternative metal kind of band. They sound similar-ish to Tool, just not as like broody and not as many time signatures and stuff that Tool does. But Devin Graves, he's got a pretty good voice.
And he was on Arion, the Human Equation.
Yeah.
So
he was like in Psychotic Waltz first, and then I guess this is the band he did after that or something. And then we got Dead Soul Tribe with The Murder of Crows. Pretty good stuff. I've only listened to those first two albums from them, so I don't know a ton about Dead Soul Tribe, but I like those first two albums. And then we've got The January Tree from Dead Soul Tribe. And then we've got an album that everyone seems to love, but I don't really understand why. I think it's pretty good, but here's Death Heaven with Sunbather. This is one of those albums that people view it as like one of the most like consequential 2010s, like it's like kind of black gaze kind of stuff or whatever. But you sometimes wonder, why do some things get big or why do some things suddenly break through and whatnot? And this is one of those albums that broke through and everybody was exposed to it. So I don't know. It's still good stuff. Like you know, and then here's New Bermuda. This is the album after Sunbather. I remember picking up that one for really cheap. I think I liked that one more than Sunbather. I thought that one was better. But anyways, just kind of cool, you know. Like I said, I'm not dogging on them. I still think they're good, but I just wonder why some bands break through and others don't. Sometimes it seems like luck. Of course, there has to be some skill involved. Like, you got to be competent, make some good stuff for people to like it. But and then we've got this is Death. I don't think this is a first press, but it's an early press. This is Scream Bloody Gore. So I think all of these Death albums are early presses. So kind of cool, you know. And then we also got Death with Leprosy. Just gonna open it up so that they can see. Ooh, you know, kind of cool.
Remember, like, just finding these guys in like a middle school. There's like a metal magazine with like the logo, and I was drawing the logo, and then I checked out some of their stuff, and that's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I like that. They're pretty dope. Here's Spiritual Healing. This is their third album. I'm more familiar with their 90s stuff. Like their first two albums, I remember listening to them a little bit in high school, and they're just kind of just okay. But here onwards, I pretty much like their stuff. Like it's really good. And I wonder if those first two albums are going to grow on me. Like I know I talked about this already with you guys recently, but anyways, it's just like kind of cool. Death really is kind of a special. I'm not the biggest fan of like traditional death metal stuff.
Right. But Death does it for you, like for sure.
Well, they're more traditional death metal stuff. I just need to dive more into because this sort of technical death metal stuff. Yeah. I dig that stuff more than traditional death metal, you know. But I feel like I am kind of like growing to like some of that old school death metal. It's like that guy in Denmark who was blasting Morbid Angel, and I was like, hey, this sounds pretty good. Blessed Are. I looked over and I was like, oh, Blessed Are the Sick, and you know, and I was just like, dang, that's pretty cool. And here's Individual Thought Patterns. So maybe I could get more into traditional death metal. I just remember trying to get into it back in high school, and it just didn't do much for me. And melodic death metal just had that melody, and I was like, yeah. And then we got Death with Symbolic. So great freaking album.
This is like the first album I bought from these guys.
Yeah. Was that the first one you heard, or?
I think it was the first one I heard, and then I went backwards a little bit, and Jaeger burned me a copy of Spiritual Healing, and I thought that was pretty sick.
We used to have like some kind of reissue or remastered or something.
Oh,
because this CD was not the one that we had when we were in high school. I think
because I think I may have sold some. Yeah. I remember like in 2010 I sold 2008. Is when I sold like a few albums because I was like, you know, I don't listen to this that much and whatnot. And then like over the years, Chiller Bodom was a band where I sold some of their stuff and then I had to buy it all again.
Right, exactly. You know? Yeah, I think. This is
Act 3, Death Angel.
Yeah, Death Angel. This is an album that I picked up on a whim. It was pretty cheap. I only went through it like once or twice, and it was just okay.
It has the strapping drummer in it, right?
Oh, Gene Hoglan?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure.
I thought like he was with the band for like a couple of their albums or something.
He may have. I feel like Gene Hoglan gets around a lot. He does a lot of people's stuff.
Yeah, he does. The problem is like he may have been on something.
He was definitely on Symbolic.
Then it's like but then it's like he might not be on this one in particular. Yeah. You know, but I don't know. Yeah.
Speaking of Denmark, there is this metal store in Denmark. It's called Mephisto Records. And the dude's name was like Ola. I think it was Ola. Anyways, he was a really awesome dude. And he gave me this CD for free. I was in the store. This is Death Rides a Horse. I guess this is like doom metal. I haven't heard it yet. But that was just really cool. We like talked about music for a while, and I was explaining some of the bands that were popular in America and then some of the stuff that was like popular there. And I was like, man, you guys got a lot of stuff that's hard to find in America, you know? And anyway, shout out to Mephisto Records in Copenhagen. Really, really cool guy, really cool metal store. So that's, then we got Death Chain. This is Death Thrash Assault. This is definitely a Chad band. This is one that he got me into. Yeah, pretty cool. I actually haven't heard that album. I've heard this other one more. But yeah, here's Death Chain with Death Gods. So kind of cool, you know. I'm going a little bit slow, but that's okay, I guess. That one's a really good record. I like that one. And then we got some Deathspell Omega. This is the C Monumentum Requires Circumspice. I don't know how to say all that stuff. Just kind of like some dissonant black metal kind of stuff. I'm not a huge fan of like their lyrics and stuff, but I think the music is kind of cool because there's different things that I enjoy about music. There's like the music that I enjoy because it's really appealing, really catchy or whatever. There's also the music that can move you and stuff. And then there's also the music that like challenges you. They're doing something really interesting that you want to hear it because you're like, oh, that's really like kind of challenging. And I want to try to figure it out. And these guys definitely fall in that camp. I do like them, but I don't know if I love them as much as other people do. This is the Kinos EP from Despel. And then here's the Fas Ite Maledicte and Ignum Aeternum. This artwork actually looks really cool. I think that whoever the artist guy is, like that's pretty cool. I haven't gone through that one yet either. So
snakes in the belly, man.
Yeah. And then we got Chaining the Catechism. It's like Veritas, Diaboli, Mana, and Aeternum. That's another EP for them. They're like, oh man, he said he's not really a fan, but he's got like all their freaking albums. Like, but that's the thing is like there's so many. When I hear something really interesting, I want to dive deep into all of their stuff, and then I get over ambitious. Here's Massgrave Aesthetics EP. Basically, half of these CDs are EPs from them. This is the one that I've heard the most. Is Paracletus, and that artwork is like pretty cool too. What's funny, when I first heard that album, I was kind of like, not my thing, and then like. I think it was like 2 years ago or 3 or something like that. I heard it and I was kind of like, oh, this is actually like kind of cool. You know, I gave it more of a chance. This is Diabolus Absconditus EP. Haven't heard that one, so I don't know. And then we got the Drought EP. This one has like a little bit of like, I don't know, different kind of. I wouldn't say post-hardcore, but like there's like these little other parts where it doesn't seem as black metal-y, seems a little more art rocky at just little moments here and there and stuff. So kind of interesting. And here is the Synarchy of Molten Bones. I remember going through this one and I didn't care for it that much, but I don't know. It's cool artwork though. Maybe I need to give it more of a chance. And then here's Deathspell Omega with the Furnaces of Palingenesia. Haven't listened to that one yet either. So. Yeah, so there's plenty that I still need to go through.
I will say these sort of like kind of book feeling albums, I really don't like these ones compared to
Yeah,
exactly.
Over time,
it's like the corners start getting, and so I really like
the plastic.
The more you handle it. And,
yeah. And here's Deep Purple in Rock. Just one of those classic kind of albums. I'm not the biggest Deep Purple fan, but, kind of cool. Here's Fireball. Deep Purple. It's got Richie Blackmore and John Lord and all that, and here's Machine Head. This is like such an iconic kind of picture or whatever, and it's got Smoke on the Water, so what are you gonna do? And then we got Very Best of Deep Purple. This is the one that me and Kevin started with, like in I think high school. We got a greatest hits for them. So
it's funny because like there's certain bands where it's kind of like those people that they only know like the hits and stuff, and then like for me I'm like. Yeah, Deep Purple's one of the bands I only know like the hits. I'm not the biggest Deep Purple person, so I am that person that only knows the hits.
Yeah,
for Deep Purple.
This is like a reissue of that greatest hits, the very best of Deep Purple, and I got that one because it was like $2, and I was like, I want Hush. It has like a couple more songs that one didn't have, so I was like, Hush is such an awesome song.
Real quick, I gotta set the record straight. Kevin went on about like the whole Blind Guardian and being like okay to like. I liked them before they were okay to like. So
I'll
just throw that crap in there, man. Because like when I was going through my CDs, the ones you gave me, and then I was just like, well, what's this? But I probably should not put that in there. But hey.
That's okay.
Oh no, you're fine. Yeah, you're good, man.
Here's the Def Leppard with On Through the Night. Back when they were a metal band.
But Ian, is it true Norwegian
black metal? Is it? That album was okay. I remember going through it and I was like, oh, this is pretty good.
Yeah, pour some sugars on me. It's pretty metal.
Yeah. Then we got Def Leppard with High and Dry. For the longest time, Bringing On the Heartbreak was like my favorite Def Leppard song when I was younger.
Right.
And anyway, it's kind of cool.
We got in a well, not really like an argument, but we grabbed our
two friends,
Brian and Brandon.
I was pissed.
And I played Freak. What was the?
It's When Love and Hate Collide.
Yeah, so I played When Love and Hate Collide, and Ian was like, "No, Bring On the Heartbreak is their best song." Is their best song, and I was like, "No, When Love and Hate Collide is their best song." And then like we asked Brian and Brandon to be this unbiased, to be the deciding factor. This, and then both of them chose my song, and then Ian was so mad.
I was pissed, man. I was just like, "You mother." Then we got Pyromania. This is a fantastic album, and Def Leppard is one of those bands where they kind of have a little bit of that new wave of British heavy metal in the early stuff, and then they were kind of more glam metal-y kind of sounding or whatever. But honestly, if you like big choruses, 80s kind of hard rock metal stuff, then that I like that. That cover looks kind of cool. The artwork and stuff, and this artwork in the front cover that's so iconic looking, And that one's probably my favorite album from them. I like Hysteria. That was after the drummer got in the car crash and then lost his arm, and so that album onward he's playing with one arm, and pretty cool. It's cool that they had this 4-year gap with no album, then they come back with like their best like selling album. Like I think that's kind of cool. Then we got Def Leppard with Adrenalize, and then we've got this is the greatest hits that me and Kevin had since we were kids. This is Vault. This is a great place to start with Def Leppard. It's got like pretty much most of their best songs.
Although you have to get the original Vault, because apparently there's like 2 versions of Vault
or something. Yeah.
There's like 2 versions, and one of them has Miss You in a Heartbeat. One of them doesn't have Miss You in a Heartbeat.
Yeah.
Or they change up some things.
They change things. Weird. Yeah, it is weird. Deftones is a band that I only started getting into the last like few years. This is their first album, Adrenalize. And then we got Deftones with Around the Fur. Then we got Deftones with White Pony. The song that got me into Deftones was Digital Bath on this album. I still think that's their best song. That song is freaking amazing. And then we got Deftones with their self-titled album. I just realized I was like showing like every CD, so maybe I'm picking it up a little bit more.
Yeah. Because the Ds are already pretty long.
So here's Saturday Night Wrist for Deftones.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm immature as hell.
And then we got Deftones with Diamond Eyes. Kind of cool. And then we also got Deftones. This is the Koi no Yoken album. And this album actually is really good. One of my...
I didn't know there's that many Deftones albums.
Yeah, they've got a lot,
Yoko Ono?
Yeah. I had a friend that like recommended me to listen to that album, and I was like, okay. And I was like, this album actually is... Like, I understand now why that's his like favorite album from them. That was Gore. And then this is their 2020 album, Alms. Haven't heard that one yet. Deftones is a band that I've only gone through a few of their albums. I still need to digest those and then branch out, and there's so much freaking music out there. Then we got Demons and Wizards with their first album, self-titled. This is a fantastic album. It's like a side project of Blind Guardian, Iced Earth, John Schaefer, and Hansi Kirsch coming together. So really good stuff. And then we got Demons and Wizards with Touched by the Crimson King. And this is also a fantastic album. Like, if you like power metal that's like heavy, like power metal, heavy metal kind of stuff, like Demons and Wizards is really good. This one was a little bit disappointing for me. I haven't listened to it nearly as much, so maybe I should need to listen to it more. This is their album like 3 or 3rd or whatever. So maybe I do need to listen to that one more.
I love that type of artwork. It just looks freaking cool.
Yeah. And this is a band that maybe is like on the edge of metal, like not quite metal, but we threw it in there anyways. I think this is the only album that Radio Music deems as like a little bit of heavy metal. So this is Devil Doll, The Girl Who Was Death. And I think these are early pressings. It's hard to really tell because Devil Doll has so many pressings throughout the years. And it's just hard to tell. Yeah, so mysterious. So here's Devil Doll with Eliogabulus. I just want to show off the artwork for some of these. For some reason, I thought one of these was the fan club version, but I don't know.
I won't share too much because we're probably going to cover Devil Doll like a full album for the channel, so I won't talk too much about like how we got into them. But they're the kind of like band like I was checking out, and I was like, oh man, this small seed of like I like this just grew a lot bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Just one little snippet of like a 45-minute song, and I was like, I don't know about the rest, but that small little section is so good.
What's funny?
And then it just blew up.
What's funny is I remember you sent me that clip from Girl Who Was Death, and then it was just like, what are you looking at? It's just like on the high, a star, Yeah. And then the whole bit where he's just like, I'm looking at somebody who belongs. I was just like, this is so freaking awesome, This is the Sacrilege of Fatal Arms, and this one I guess is a fan club only re-release, so that's the edition for this one. No idea how rare some of these ones are.
Right.
They're probably not like super easy to find, but I don't think that they're probably like insanely hard to find. But
I feel like Devil Doll also has had some pretty dedicated people,
some
because
dedicated fans.
Like we got into them somewhere around 2008, 2009, and I felt like it was a lot harder to get stuff back then than it is now.
Now it seems like Devil Doll is a little bit more well known, but dude, back in 2000, because it was 2008 when you showed them to me or whatever, and I was like, dude, this is sick, and that's Dice Era. This is like their last album or whatever, and that album, this one or Girl Who Is Death, is like one of my favorites. I don't know which one, but they're so freaking good.
I'll just show them the back, so that was the same CD.
Okay.
Right.
I was like, that's fine. Yeah, I was all like, it's backwards. So I was like, I was trying to help you out, but apparently I wasn't. And then we got DGM. This is what, Wings of Time, Wings of Time.
We still got to get their first album, but DGM, they're kind of one of those prog power bands. I got into them from the
high school days.
Perfect Prog website. Yeah.
I remember this is another band that I didn't care for back in high school, and then over the years, Kevin playing it around me. Here's Misplaced. This is the Japanese version. Yeah. Then I was like, dude, DGM's actually pretty sick,
Yeah.
And then we got Different Shapes from DGM. And it's funny because their name was like the names of like the three band members, DGM was like, I don't know, like the first initial of their first or last name. Yeah. Now none of those guys are in the band, so it's like they're still called DGM, but it's just kind of funny.
It's like Mazzagatti and DiMargio and because they're from Italy or something like that. I can't remember their names, but it was the first letter of all three of their last names.
Yeah.
So.
This is Diabolical Masquerade. This is Raven Dusk in My Heart. Kind of cool looking artwork and stuff. This is the guitarist for Catatonia. He did like this side project where he did kind of more symphonic metal with like maybe a little bit of prog.
I actually got into this band around the same time as Devil Doll.
Yeah.
Like same.
Yeah. Here's the Phantom Lodge. Yeah. It's funny because I probably got into like all the other black metal bands, but this is the one that you got into and you got me into. And I was like, man, this stuff is pretty sick, And this is the one that Kevin checked out first. This is Nightwork. Awesome freaking album. If you haven't heard Diabolical Masquerade and you like this kind of stuff, check out that album because it's freaking awesome.
Haunted by Horror. That's just such a great name.
Yeah.
That's the song that like got me into them. So
here's Death's Design from Diabolical Masquerade. It's funny because like Dan Swano and Blackheim? Yeah, both of them were like presenting this album as if it was like a soundtrack for a movie that was being made or whatever. So they like had like it looks like it's for like a movie and everything, but then the movie didn't exist and stuff. So it was just kind of a cool little I don't know if that's a marketing thing or something. I don't know. Then we got Diamond Head. This is Lightning to the Nations. So kind of cool. Old school new wave of British heavy metal stuff. And then we got Diamond Knights from Diamond Head as well. And then we got Bruce Dickinson, Accident of Birth. Is it Of Birth? Yeah.
I don't know why, but that album cover people say is like really unnerving for a lot of people. Like I'll look at like crazy album covers or scary album covers, and that album people have an issue with for some reason, and I don't know. I don't really see.
It doesn't strike fear in me.
Yeah,
it's a little like
it looks. It's the coloration is too goofy.
Yeah.
I feel like but for some people it's like unnerving or something. I don't know.
More Bruce Dickinson. Then we got Dimmu Borgir. This is For All Tid, or For All Time in English or whatever. And then this is their second album. This is the original one on Cacophonous Records. So kind of cool. That one was like the Nuclear Blast reissue of it. So kind of cool looking. It's got the little like waterfall in the background and stuff. And that one's pretty good. I like that one. Then we got Dimmu Borgir with Enthroned Darkness Triumphant. It's funny because I used to be like, oh no, that's not like their best. And now I'm kind of like, that is probably one of their better albums. This is Godless Savage Garden, a little EP from Dimmu.
Savage Garden?
Ooh, Savage Garden. Yeah. They got that song, the Animal Song. And here's Spiritual Black Dimensions. And this one's like kind of holographic or whatever, I actually don't care as much for this album, to be honest. I've gone through it a few times and it's just hasn't really clicked. It's whatevs. This is the first one I ever heard because it was on that compilation. This is Puritanical Euphoric Misanthropia. That one, when I first heard Puritania, dude, this was like back in 2003 or something.
Right.
I was a little bit unnerved. I never heard music like that before, and I was like, there's all these like mechanical voices talking, and I was just like, what am I listening to? It was like, you know, and I was just like, this is kind of scary, but I kind of like it, you know? 'Cause I was much younger back then and hadn't heard that stuff before. Here's Death Cult Armageddon. And then we also got Stormblast, the reissue. They like re-recorded that entire album. They also took out some parts because I guess the keyboard guy, he like took some like melodies from like some video games, and the other band members like didn't know this, you know. So in the first Stormblast, he's got these melodies that were like straight up lifted or copied from earlier stuff. So in that reissue, for like copyright reasons, they didn't record it. Like they altered it a little bit to not do those melodies and stuff. So it's kind of funny. Yeah.
Well, what kind of video games was he into?
I know. At least I could be a little bit wrong, but the story's something like that. It goes something like that. Here's Insorte Diaboli.
Like some kind of copyright.
Some kind of copyright issue. And here's Abrahadabra.
And wasn't this another band where like people were mad because they like kind of got into the
like got big and like, definitely one of those. I know.
They're like, guys, don't you like that? I think I've heard that before. No, I mean,
no, that's all me, man.
All right, we are gonna play Sacrilege at Dark, and they're like doing it with tremolo picking and crap. That'd be funny. Here's Eonian from Dimmu Borgir, and Dimmu Borgir, like, I like them more than Cradle of Filth if I compared like the popular black metal bands. You know, I like them more than that, but I don't like everything by them. You know what I mean? Like they're still a great band, but and then we got Dio with Holy Diver, Holy Death. This is a great freaking album. Ronnie James Dio. You guys know it. You know. Good stuff. And then we got their second album with The Last in Line, and all of these have that silver looking cover. And dude, all of them have like $2.99 or whatever on the $3.99 and stuff. Like I saw them at that shop in Virginia, and I was just like, dude, they got like 3 of these albums. Like, why not? Here's Sacred Heart from Dio. And then same thing with this one, $3.99. I was just like, how do I just pass this up? You know? Here's Dream Evil from Dio. And then this is the first album that me and Kevin ever listened to. I think you might have got it.
Like the greatest hits.
Yeah, so this is we were more familiar with their hits, and then it wasn't until like 5-6 years ago that I actually like bought the albums and kind of started digging deeper into their stuff. So pretty cool stuff though.
I've got kind of a funny story with Dio. Like I remember walking. It was like at nighttime. I was walking, and there are these 2 guys. Like I was gonna go talk to them. And then they're like, yeah, Ronnie James Dio just died. And I was like, oh, dang. And then we just like stood there in silence for a bit.
Everybody like felt that. Everyone was just like, oh, dang.
And there's this, I can't remember his name, but there's this kid who was with me, you know, and he was like, what are we doing here? You know? And then I was just like, that's right, James Dio.
Shh, be quiet.
This was like, what, 2010, 2011, something like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's kind of funny. You're like, shh. Moment of silence. Yes, respect.
It was pretty funny.
That is funny. I mean, it's not funny that he died, but it's funny that that this friend was standing there and he didn't know why everyone was like bummed out. That's pretty funny. Here's Disharmonia Mundi. This is a band that has like the Soulwork singer in it. I think they're an Italian band, so kind of melodic death metal stuff. Here's Disharmonic Orchestra. What's funny is I first heard of this band on that same podcast that we were talking about. Gosh, why can't I remember the name? Every time we bring up that podcast, I know they did an episode on that band.
Don't worry, Ian. In the description for this video, put down
it's the Radical Research podcast. Yeah, with Jeff Wagner and Hunter Ginn. Yeah. Right. Anyways, they did like an episode on that band, and I was like listening to it, and they're like showing little clips of the band and stuff. Right. So I was like, this is kind of cool. So anyways, that album's pretty cool. And then we got Dissection with the Somber Lane, and this is like an early pressing as well. I think it is a little bit more rare, you know.
Wasn't this the band of the guy who like offed himself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah,
that dude was wild. Then we got Dark Dissection with Storm of the Light's Bane, and this is an early press too. You know, black metal and stuff is not short of crazy stories.
No,
you know?
it is not.
I mean, you know, if you want to hear a crazy story, just freaking look up some black metal bands in the 90s, like holy death. And then we got the Best of Dokken. This is like a Japanese version of it. Well, I think this release was only released in Japan, so kind of cool. And this is the one that I think Kevin got in high school. This is another Best of Dokken, very Best of Dokken. And then we got some Dornenreich. This is some more other kind of... I think I got into Dornenreich through their 2008 album. It was more like acoustic-y, and then I started checking out their earlier stuff and whatnot.
You were getting into Winds, you were getting into Agalloch, like a lot of that area around the same time,
Yeah, so, this is their Herr von Velkenachten album. It's kind of black metal-y, kind of experimental with like, he does a lot of weird shrieks and stuff, so if you like black metal that's not the normal traditional stuff, you might dig them. And here's their 2005 album, Hexenwind. I like to say Hexenwind because it makes it sound like I know what I'm talking about. So that's a pretty good album. Long songs, but it's kind of cool. And then we got Durch den Traum. Maybe that's pronounced right, I don't know. So kind of cool. And this is the album I first heard from them, In Luft geritzt. And this is the one that's like pure like acoustic with whisper vocals and stuff. Yeah. So it's kind of different, you know. If you like neo-folk stuff, you might dig that. So all the metal is like void from that album practically. Yeah. And then we got Dragon Force with Valley of the Damned. This is a great record. I remember getting into Dragon Force in high school, and even this person that was into power metal, and you were into power metal, but both of us were kind of like, yeah, Dragon Force compared to like all these other bands, they just didn't really like connect as much, you know?
My issue is, okay, at the time that we got into Dragon Force, we also got into like Celeste, Accent Star, and Power Quest also. And for me, I always felt like Power Quest was better than Dragon Force. And even to this day, I'd rather put on a Power Quest album before putting on a Dragon Force album. But it's something that maybe I'll come around to, but I'm like, I'm in no rush, you know.
The problem I have with Dragon Force is I do feel like a lot of their songs sound the same.
Right. A little repetitive.
It's a little repetitive.
A little derivative,
you know.
Repetitious.
It's a little repetitious, you know. But I still like Dragon Force. They're still a cool band. And I remember picking this up in Scotland. Anyways, kind of cool.
Right.
And then, Anyways, pretty, you know, Dragon Force, I do feel like I am coming around to, because I went through that first album, like, I don't know, a few weeks ago, and I was like, I forgot how actually cool this was, you know? And I think that the problem is that we were getting into so much better power metal that Dragon Force was just way down here. But to the mainstream in America, they had no idea all this other power metal. All they knew was Dragon Force. So to them, they're like,
Fire and Flames or
true, on that guitar game and stuff. So Dragon Force was way popular. And then I was kind of like, why? Like, there's so much better like power metal bands out there, you know?
Exposure.
Yeah, but then again, it's probably here's Ultra Beatdown from Dragon Force. It's probably a good thing that Dragon Force at least broke through, because then it made people probably be like, is there other bands like this? Like, you know what I mean? It might have opened a lot of doors for people. So if that's the case, then that's really cool. I'm glad they got big or broke through, you know, because this music in America just doesn't break through at all. And then we got Dragonland. This is the Battle of the Ivory Plains. And then we got Dragonland's second album with Holy War. And then we got Dragonland with Starfall. This one and the next two are the ones I've heard more. It's you know, it's power metal stuff. It's not the best band in the world, but they got some good stuff, you know. Then we got Dragonland. This is Astronomy. And then we've got Dragonland with Under the Grey Banner. So kind of cool. Alrighty. More dragon names. And then we got Dragony with Legends. I haven't heard that one yet, so I don't know.
Dragony, huh?
Yeah. I don't know if it's pronounced Dragony or Dragoni. I have no idea. Okay. No clue. And here's Shadowplay. I actually really like this album a lot. This is a fantastic album.
Well, I just thought it was a weird name.
Yeah, like it is a little bit weird. Yeah.
This is a band that we actually got into fairly recently, like in the last 3 years or so.
Yeah.
So fairly new.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like in modern days, in the last 10 years at least, I've rarely found a power metal band that I've really liked. So the fact that these guys came out, and then Battle Beast and like Beast in Black stuff came out, made me like, oh, there actually is some cool like power metal kind of stuff these days. So here's Lords of the Hunt. That's the EP. And then we got Masters of the Multiverse, another Dragony album. And this is their this album came out a couple years ago, Veritibus Unitus from Dragony. Then we got Dream Evil with Dragon Slayer. Pretty good. I know you enjoy this album a lot.
I do, yeah.
It's got Snowy Shaw. You know, that's kind of cool. You know,
it just has that early power metal, late 90s, early 2000s vibe, and so I like this album.
Here's Dream Theater. This is like an early press. I don't think it's the first press, but kind of cool. This is when Dream and Day Unite, when they had the Dominici guy.
Yeah.
Can't remember his name.
Dang, it's been years.
Mario Dominici or something. I don't know.
I'm thinking of a Paul. No, I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah. So and then this is
Charlie Dominici. Yeah.
Charlie Dominici. Yeah. So this is when they picked up James LaBrie on vocals, and this is probably their best album, at least mine and Kevin's favorite.
Yeah, I like Images and Words a lot.
Images and Words, and hearing this stuff in high school, it was pretty intense. And we're like, man, the musicianship, and it was really cool. And then we got their third album. This is Awake. Really fantastic album. I remember listening to Space Divest over and over and over again, and just being like, man, this is so cool. And I really liked when they had Kevin Moore on keyboards. They had more of an identity. Like Kevin Moore, like had more of a presence in their stuff. Like they still do tons of keyboard solos for sure and stuff. Like the following keyboardists that they got were good, but there's some of that Kevin Moore's like songwriting also that really added to. I don't know, made Dream Theater more mysterious sounding.
Yeah, I felt like they were more moody, more mysterious, more, I don't know, something a little, like if I listened to like something like, I don't know, Train of Thought or whatever, and yeah, they've got some heavier stuff on new stuff, but they don't have that heavy, mysterious sound from the early days.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, kind of cool. But the rest of them are really good too, you know. But we just really liked Kevin Moore though. Yeah. Here's Fallen Into Infinity. That one had to like grow on me. I remember in high school being like, whatever. Right. And then like in recent times, I was more like, that's a great album.
Thanks. So like, how early did you guys get into Dream Theater? Like 9th grade?
High school, probably like 10th or something, 9th, maybe
somewhere around there.
Yeah. And then we got Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from Memory. That one I think is a masterpiece too.
We actually picked this one up in Ireland.
Yeah.
It's funny as we're saying this. It sounds like we've been like everywhere. We haven't, but you know,
we've been a lot of places.
Anytime we do go to
Ireland,
Scotland, Germany, anytime we do go to places, we always check out their CD stores and stuff.
New York, you know, Washington, you know, I mean, Florida.
I'm in everywhere, man.
Then we got 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence. This is the last album of theirs that I really loved. Like their following albums, there's things I like, but that was the last one that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
You know, and then we got Dream Theater with Train of Thought. I remember being disappointed with that one when it came out, but like, well, not when it came out, when I first heard it, but like, yeah, now I bet I would enjoy it more now than back then.
Octavarium is pretty good, but there's just something missing from here on out. There's something missing.
Yeah. And then we got Systematic Chaos. I feel like they're still a good band, but they're not like a mind-blowing band anymore. Right. You know, like they were in the 90s.
Like they can play. It's just more of the writing style, the songwriting that feels really lacking.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like they're doing the same thing over and over and over again a little bit.
Like not venturing out or trying to do anything different. They're just like, well, here's our formula. Let's bust it out,
they're like, we could solo like crazy and we got long songs and stuff. But that's what they've been doing this whole time. Like, I don't know. And I actually kind of like this one when I heard it. This is Black Clouds and Silver Linings.
That one is a little better than, I remember.
Systematic Chaos, I felt like was such a disappointment.
I was disappointed with.
Yeah, when that came out, I was just like, I don't know. Then we got A Dramatic Turn of Events. Haven't really listened to that one. I've heard this one a little bit. This is the self-titled Dream Theater. I remember that one being pretty good. And I've never heard this one. I know a lot of people don't like it. Yeah. I know a lot of people don't like it, but who knows? You know, I wouldn't mind giving this one a shot just to see what my impression would be, but there's so much music out there.
Wasn't this one like the concept album, but then people said it was like this other concept album, but then people said it was like some other...
I don't know.
I thought there was some story.
I know it's a 2-discer one. I think it's a concept, but I read the lyrics, but I don't remember what it's about.
Yeah, okay. I could be wrong. And I just remember there was some complaining or something online from people talking about the story maybe not being original or something, but I don't remember.
And this is Drook. This is their first album. And what's the label again? It was on like a kind of obscure label. This is Forgotten Legends, but like
Elektra? Atlantic?
No, there's like a Supernal Music. Supernal. This is on Supernal Epic. Music. So like one thing, Roadrunner. These albums, like they were reissued. Okay. These albums are reissued like on Season of Mist, I think. But I got like all the original ones because like the artwork and stuff is still the original artwork. And dude, this is one of my favorite covers for metal bands. Like there's something about this cover that I just love. This is Autumn Aurora.
I don't know, it's just a bunch of trees.
Dude, like just the color, the shape, like
there's some aesthetically pleasing. Yeah. This is like a Thomas Kincaid picture, I'm just like, man, freaking dope, I'm like,
actually,
I want a puzzle. I want a puzzle of that, and I want to put it together.
It does look like Lorena McKenna or something.
Yeah, yeah. This is which one is this one? Oh yeah, the Swan Road. This is also under Supernal. I'm just showing these off just because I know that these are like a little bit harder to find, you know.
Right.
And this is Blood in Our Wells. I remember listening to it. So I first heard Druk in high school, but I wasn't huge into black metal yet. So like I liked a little bit, but I didn't like them enough to get their stuff. So it wasn't until recently that I picked up like a ton of their CDs. This one, man, what is the name of this one? Songs of Grief and Solitude. I think this one's like a non-metal release from them or something. But I haven't heard this one yet, so I'm not really sure if it's good or not. And then this one is good. This is Estrangement, and this is the last Supernal one. This was like limited to 1,000 copies. What's really cool is it's like it's like a huge case and stuff. What's cool is I bought all these from some guy online, and I just like he gave me a price, and I just got them all together, all of these early Druk albums, and I was like, cool, man. And I think these ones onward are Season of Mist. So here's a Microcosmos, their 2009 album. And then here's A Handful of Stars. I think that's what A Handful of Stars. Haven't heard some of these newer ones before. And then this one is Eternal Turn of the Wheel. So, and then this one is, what is it? Eastern Frontier in Flames. I think this is like a compilation of some of their EPs and stuff. I got these from like a special deal or something from this label, Season of Mist. So kind of cool. And then we got A Furrow Cut Short. And then we've got, what is this one called again? I don't remember this one. And they don't even have it spelled, so I can't even... I know it has like an English title, but for some reason it's not on here. Normally they have like what it's written in like Ukrainian, and then they have the English underneath. So I can't remember what this one is called, but kind of cool. And then we've got Druk with... this is another EP, or compilation of EPs and stuff. This is A Few Lines in Archaic Ukrainian. So kind of cool. Actually kind of a pretty cover, you know. And this is their new album. This is another one, I can't remember the name. All Belong to the Night. Yeah, I heard this one once, and it was pretty good, but it didn't, like, wow me or anything. But granted, a lot of those, I need to listen to them more, you know. Right. So they've got a big discography, and I've only heard, like, a few of their albums. And then we got The Duskfall. This is, like, a compilation of Frailty and Source, two of their albums. So kind of cool. I got this for, like, $3. I was like, dude, their first two albums for $3? Why not? And then we got Dying Fetus with Killing on Adrenaline. Yeah. Yeah, Chad, what do you think of Dying Fetus?
I'm surprised you like got these. Like, it's cool that you like there's songs that you like and you gave them a chance. Like, that was just pretty awesome.
Yeah, and we did a video. Chad picked that for our channel, so kind of cool. You know, that's Destroy the Opposition. I remember. So here's Stop at Nothing. This one has Vengeance Unleashed. I remember in high school you showed me that song, and I remember listening to it over and over and over again, and I was like, man, this is like an awesome freaking song. And then here's their album Reign Supreme. So that one I haven't really heard that much.
I was actually really digging this one. I've been through it twice, I think.
Yeah, and that's it for as far as my the D's go for me, you know. So the rest of these are gonna be Chad's.
Okay. It was interesting. I finally he did Dark Tranquility, and I finally saw what this was. It was that EP or whatever.
Yeah, Enter Suicidal Angels.
Yeah. And then I got another Dark Tranquility character. I had Damage Done, but I need to take better care of my crap. Darkane, Rusted Angel.
Yeah.
Freaking awesome. Yeah. And then Darkane, Layers of Lies. Freaking awesome. I still need to get Expanding Senses, but, you know. And then Darkane, Inhuman Spirits. This was a gift from Ian, and I was really digging this album. Like, I was really enjoying it. And then, I got some Death, Symbolic. Mm-hmm. And then Death, Sound of Perseverance. I should have all their albums, but, you know, I'm working on it. And then Death Breath, Sneaking Up the Night. Remember, dude, just good, good death and roll, man. Just real heavy and just grimy, dirty. And it's more Death Breath.
Were these the guys with the back?
The Beatles.
Yeah, the Beatles.
Let It Stink or something.
Yeah, Let It Stink, but
yeah.
And then Deathbound. I found these guys when I was checking out Death Chain. Some Finnish grindcore, like actually really good. Nice and depressing.
I've never heard that one before.
And then Def Leppard. I don't love these guys, but I am glad that I do have a greatest hits because I do enjoy some of their songs sometimes.
And your dad hates them all.
Yeah, my dad. Well, he talks a lot of crap, but I think he's kind of gotten over that. So,
Do you think he secretly likes some Def Leppard?
Yeah, Dad. We're on to you. And then, Deftones. Yeah, Q No Yokin. I'm not sure how you pronounce that last time. I do need to check them out because, like, I'm a new metal guy. Like, you know, I was angsty and angry in freaking middle school, and it just kind of appealed to me, like, all that new metal, alternative stuff. Dang, I didn't know I had some Dream Theater. Courtesy of Ian and Kevin.
Yeah.
Dude, and that's the thing, like, yeah, and that's the thing, like, I have gone through, what did we do? Scenes from Memory with you guys?
Yeah.
Which was, like, the story was cool. There was some cool songs. And there's that one song about, like, addiction.
The Glass Prison.
Yeah, that song was freaking awesome. I need to give these guys more of a chance. I just haven't yet. And then Dream Theater, Awake. Like, my dad even has some of their CDs, but I never jumped into them.
Right.
And then Dream Theater, Falling into Infinity. Yeah, I'm not really familiar with any of that. Dream Theater, Metropolis, Part 2, Scenes from Memory. Yeah, this is actually really freaking good.
Yeah.
Then,
this is probably my second favorite album.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
Images and Words first, and then this one, then probably Awake third, I would say.
Yeah,
like,
that's me.
dude, and yeah, 6 Degrees of Turbulence. This is the one that,
Yeah.
Okay.
Glass Prison.
And I think I would enjoy more of this. I just need to spin it more. But yeah. Because I'm slowly getting into more stuff, but it's just taking time.
Sometimes the prog metal and the power metal vocals, like, it takes time to like enjoy, you know. But I don't know, like, you were digging Stradivarius the other day.
Yeah, because like first, like that constant high register, just like it's hard for me sometimes. But the other, that song we listened to in the car, I was like, it's pretty good. You know, like the neoclassical like elements and stuff. And,
when did the clean vocal? Because me and Kevin have been into this stuff.
You guys have
like,
been pushing Sonata for so long.
Yeah, like when did the clean vocals finally kind of start clicking, or like, when did you start enjoying that more?
I think Sonata was a start just because I really liked the lyrics, fast soloing, all that kind of stuff, getting used to keyboards. I think that was like the big push in the beginning of it. I think just probably the last 3 years maybe, I think I've been giving power metal and like prog metal, the higher stuff, like more of a chance. But dude, back in the day, like that was like in high school, wasn't it?
When me and Kevin would play that crap,
yeah,
talk
like
about it all
constantly, and like go through lyrics over the phone and albums and crap.
Yeah.
Well, I also think that like with you getting more into Anathema, Riverside, so like
that too.
I feel like it didn't just go from like, oh yeah, grindcore, death metal, boom, power metal. Like, I think there's other bands that have opened you up a little bit more over time to where now power metal is not as like a jump into left field kind of thing.
Because dude, I went like, my dad always doing classic rock, and I literally like, I'm just more used to like guttural and shouting vocals than actual singing. So,
yeah, that is pretty cool though.
But Dust Bolt, Violent Demolition. I think they're part of like the new thrash like thing, and I was kind of digging these guys. I think I got the CDs because they're kind of cheap, but they're not like one of my favorites, but still pretty good. Another Dust Bolt, Awake the Riot. Just your typical thrash, you know, freaking fudge everything up and party and the government's bad. And then some more Dust Bolt right here, Mass Confusion. I do enjoy these, but like they're not some of my favorites, but pretty good.
You like more Hexen, Warbringer, some of that newer, newer threats.
But still, like the revival, I think there are some really cool bands coming out. But
Havoc,
I was really digging Havoc. I need to get some of their stuff, but
Ex Mortis.
Oh, keep going. What else do you guys got? What else do you guys got?
What else did Chad like?
Chad likes
I mean, the new Warbringer and the new Forbidden. I remember you showed me those.
I was digging that.
I think Chad's really digging the new Dragony album.
He got us in Dragony.
Anyways, that's the D's and
cool.
Got anything else to say?
Yeah. I don't think I have much else. Thanks for watching and have a good day.
Yep. Next we'll do the E's.
So,